Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Gran Turismo 7 Daily SC race and strategy guide. We're off to Watkins Glen International for this week's race and we are in the Group 4 machinery. It is the long version of Watkins Glen, I should add. And if the settings for this one look pretty familiar, then your eyes don't mistake you, because these have been copy and pasted from the recent Group 4 race at Catalonia. I think that was just 2 weeks ago, and also the Group 4 race we did at the Nürburgring maybe about 4 weeks ago. So that means 10 laps to get round, tyre wear at ×1, fuel at ×7, medium and hard tyres are both available, but only the racing hards are mandatory. BOP is on, damage is light, it's a rolling start, and slipstream is real. So again, we went with exactly the same settings. If the idea of these settings was to give us a kind of option of doing a no stop versus a one stop, then it neither worked at the Nürburgring. It certainly didn't work at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, and shock horror, no surprise, it doesn't work here either, because this one is going to be a fuel saving no stop, just as it was at the Nürburgring and Catalunya. Now we're in the Subaru WRX here for our test run. I never did a whole lot of practice laps for this one. Now in terms of the fuel saving, it does feel that you have to kind of give it a little bit more effort than you did at Catalonia a couple of weeks ago. Certainly found that I had to be a little bit more frivolous with the short shifting, and just to make sure the car could get round for the 10 laps. Now there is a fairly long run all the way from turn 1 up until, I guess this would be classified as turn 5, where, so you're using a lot of fuel on that run up the hill, I guess, which may well be the reason that you have to be a little bit more aggressive on the fuel saving. But it should be absolutely possible, and it is the only way to do this one, as you shall see in due course when I show you the pit loss sequence. In terms of cars, it looks like it will very much be the 4-wheel drive cars again, so that's going to be your Alfa Romeo, your Subaru. If you're really bad on fuel or fuel saving, then I could maybe recommend trying the Mazda Atenza. We've discovered at Catalunya that it's very, very strong on the fuel. So fuel saving's not your bag, then maybe that is a car to consider. It's going to be about 19 minutes 20 finishing time, maybe about 19 minutes 08 for the super fast people out there. But yeah, there is no option but to go for the no stopper on this one, because this is how much time you will lose in the pits. Now if you do pit, if you accidentally put the medium tyres on, then do be very careful on that pit entrance, because it's a bit of an awkward one. It's kind of on the racing line, and it's very easy to drift over and get a 3-second penalty. Now when I did this pit stop for the first time, and I'm only changing the tyres here, I'm not putting any fuel in, when I seen how quickly the car got into the box, I was kind of going, oh, maybe the pit loss is actually quite short here. But I forgot that at Watkins Glen, the sequence, or most of the time, is taken up by watching the car actually driving out. So by the time we get down to the exit of the pits and back onto the track, in control of the car, why I didn't get a 3-second penalty here, I don't know, because the car just threw me over the line. But all in all, if you do make a pit stop, you're going to lose around about 22 seconds on the track. With the best will in the world, you're not going to make up over 2 seconds per lap on the medium tyres over a set of hard tyres. And to be fair, you're only going to be doing 9 laps on the medium tyres as well, so you'd have to be making about 2.3 to 2.4 seconds a lap on the medium tyres to have any chance of overcoming that pit loss, which is just not going to be the case. The medium tyres are going to be around about 1 second a lap quicker than the hard tyres, so yeah, you're going to make up around about 9 to 10 seconds with the quicker tyre, which is definitely less than 22 seconds. But that's pretty much it for this one. There is a lap guide coming up where I'll kind of talk about braking points, how I'm doing the fuel saving, and the track limits that you want to watch out, so do stick around for that. But in terms of the strategy, it is as it was when we had these settings at the Nürburgring and Catalunya. It's going to be a no stopper. You're going to have to be fairly aggressive on the fuel saving in some cars more than others, of course. The Alfa 155 and the Subaru, they're not completely dissimilar when it comes to the fuel saving, but the Subaru does tend to have a little bit of an advantage. And the Subaru's power up the hill, and there's a couple of uphill sections on this track as well, may well mean it is actually the car of choice over the Alfa 155. As I said earlier in the video, if you are particularly bad on fuel saving, then do maybe consider the Mazda Atenza. We discovered at Catalunya it is an absolute beast on fuel. I actually struggled to use all the fuel around Catalunya in it, so I know there's plenty of drivers out there, particularly as you kind of maybe go down to the slightly lower lobbies, who find fuel saving very difficult. So if that is perhaps something you find yourself having difficulty with, then do consider this car. It's definitely not going to have the raw speed of the Alpha 155 or the Subaru WRX, but we're only talking around about a few tenths of a second per lap, and you may well find yourself you're just actually quicker because you don't have to do the fuel saving or be so aggressive with the fuel saving in race time overall. But that's pretty much it for that. Let's jump into a lap guide. We are in the Subaru WRX. We're about to come over the start finish line. This is a 155.384 or something like that. Now, my braking reference for turn 1 is the 200 metre feet board. I believe the boards are in feet at Watkins Glen. Down into 4th gear, try to catch that curb on the inside and do not run all the way over the yellow and red curbs with all 4 wheels, or you will pick up a half-second penalty. Now, the penalty limits here are very, very strict and very, very easy to pick up silly penalties. You can see I've got 1.839 seconds so far, and most of them are just little stupid little, honestly, pixel penalties, as we can call them. So you're full throttle all the way up the hill easily in the Group 4 cars, and coming up to the bus stop chicane, the 400 metre board is what I use as my reference. I just go down into 5th gear here to try and save some fuel. You can be quite aggressive with the curbs as well, but if you do take too many liberties, you are very likely to pick up a penalty. 5th gear, round this long right-hander. Try to get into the curb. There's some nice camber in there, and when you've got the I Love New York board on the Marshall's stand there, you can usually floor the throttle and not run wide. 200 metre board for the downhill, or just after the 200 metre board for the downhill left-hander. Here again, try to keep into the curb, then gives you the tiny little bit of camber there. It'll help the car round on the throttle as early as possible. It's your 200 feet board for this uphill right-hander. Now, you could probably be a little bit more aggressive on the brake in this one, but I did find myself drifting wide quite often at that apex, and I did find that once I started to get the car in tight to the apex, that the lap time was much better. Get up to maybe the trickiest corner on the track. 200 feet board is your reference point for this one. The corner kind of tightens unexpectedly on the exit, so it's very easy to get on the throttle a little bit too early and drift wide. I think this is where I was picking up certainly a couple of my penalties. And the 100 board for this uphill left-hander, again, maybe just before the 100 metre board, and you don't have to worry about this kind of crest of this hill in the 4-wheel drive cars like we did in the Group 3 cars, so you can get on the throttle nice and early. It's just a lift off the throttle and throw the car in just before the 100 metre board. 5th gear here to keep the fuel saving as well. I'm definitely picking up penalties at that one, and then I use the grey board on the other side of the fence here as my reference point for the last corner. 4th gear here, and yeah, the fuel saving basically you want to be shifting around about 40 to 45%. On the rev limiter should see you comfortably be able to make the fuel manage there, and then using slightly higher gears fairly often, like 5th gear through the bus stop, should help with the fuel saving as well. But that's pretty much it for this one. Fairly lackluster, I think you will agree, given it's just the same settings as we had at the Nürburgring and Catalonia, which means there's not really any strategy at all. I know fuel saving is not everyone's bag. It's probably going to be a 4-wheel drive fest as well, but we do have the update coming this week. The 25th anniversary update is due this week. Definitely 3 cars coming. It's almost guaranteed we're going to get a new track as well. Will there be some more positive updates for sport mode in there? I certainly hope so. Certainly be interesting to see what it brings to the fold. Will we have a new BOP? Will they do something with the Group 4 cars to try and make it so that it's not just a 4-wheel drive fest all the time? I certainly hope so, but that remains to be seen come Thursday, which I guess will be the date or the day of the update. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I actually think the racing here will probably be quite entertaining, to be perfectly honest with you. I know the settings are a little bit uninspired, and it's a fuel save, it's a no-stopper, and people don't like fuel saving, and they are looking for a bit of strategy in DLRC. But I actually think, you know, the Group 4 cars, even if it is just the 4-wheel drive cars and the combination of this track, should make for some good racing. So we'll do our best to enjoy it. We'll certainly be live streaming a couple of times over the course of the week, so do join me for them if you can. But if you made it to this point of the video, thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I shall catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.